Since Ryzen is about a month away, I wanted to talk about the state of the CPU industry right now. I wanted to bring up Intel's current lineup. It's more relevant later on, but I wanted to establish it now. The Celeron is just 2 cores, the Pentium is 2 cores with hyperthreading, the i3 is basically a Pentium but clocked higher, the i5 is 4 cores without hyperthreading, and the i7 is 4 cores with hyperthreading for a whopping 8 logical threads. And then there's the Enthusiast line, which Intel actually has made some changes on lately, as each of the past 2 generations have added an additional 2 cores to the high-end SKU compared to the previous generation, though with this last one drastically increasing the price. This all might be about to change. At the time of recording this, Intel had just recently released their new Kaby Lake series. Kaby Lake being their first optimization iteration in their new process architecture optimization cycle. But is it really the first? If you look back, both Sandy Bridge and Haswell had optimization cycles. Both were cycles that did nothing but increase the clock rate by a couple hundred megahertz and do nothing to affect the IPC or even process. Isn't that just an optimization cycle? If you look at the time releases of these things, they also seem to represent an entire generation without actually being labeled as a new generation in order to package something old as new again. It seems that Kaby Lake isn't the first time they've done an optimization cycle, just the first time that they've told everyone that they're going to do that. They took an old idea and recycled it and tried to make a new product out of it. Now there's some rumors floating around that Intel, in react to Ryzen, is actually preparing a new set of CPUs using the Kaby Lake architecture. There's whispers of a new i7 7740K and a new i5 7640K. Given the Sandy Bridge i7 2600K and the 2700K released 11 months later, and then the Haswell 4770K followed by the Haswell 4790K a while later, I think these new Kaby Lake processors could be nothing more than a way to hold consumers off for an extra iteration while they figure out their 10nm Cannon Lake process iteration. I think the reason they moved from the tick-tock to the new process architecture optimization was simply to give them more breathing room. If they were disguising a 3-step as a 2-step tick-tock before, they could be preparing for the possibility that they have to move to a 4-step disguised as a 3-step, or not, depending on if they nail down the 10nm in time or not. Now this leaves the question, what are they doing about Ryzen? To answer this, we have to look at where Intel is now and what Ryzen is bringing to the table. Since we can assume that Ryzen's IPC is at best comparable with Intel's latest, and it seems the way Ryzen is trying to be competitive is by bringing more cores and threads to lower priced markets. This still leaves a lot of space for Intel to be competitive even if they can't bring 10nm right away. This puts Intel in the perfect position to finally increase the number of cores in their models. There are rumors hinting that the i5 7640K might be hyper-threaded. Why would they stop there? AMD is trying to say that 4 cores should be entry. From there, 4 cores with SMT and even 6 cores are rumored to make up Ryzen's mainstream. Now, Intel doesn't quite have to match them in terms of numbers of cores and even price, as they currently control the main part of the industry's mindshare. But to keep people excited over Intel instead of AMD's Ryzen, all they have to do is shift things down one. The Celerons could be dual-core with hyperthreading, the Pentiums stay dual-core with hyperthreading, the i3s become 4 cores 4 threads, the i5s become the old i7s with 4 cores with hyperthreading, the i7s are free to get 6 cores with hyperthreading, and then the i7 Extremes are free to have 8 through 12 cores. This strategy would keep Intel's Extreme processors from losing any ground to Ryzen's 8-core beast, as they still have a lot more cores to offer. This would lock down the enthusiasts that want more than 8 cores quad-channel memory or those 40 PCI lanes, leaving even the best from AMD to be perceived as budget or a compromise. And Intel is the only place you can get the full-blown enthusiast or professional experience. All without even needing to touch 10nm. This is of course all purely speculation and just my own thoughts on how I think things could go, not even necessarily would. If Intel was smart, they would probably do something like that. Maybe not exactly that, but they do need to do something competitive. Either way, it's hard to deny that this is an extremely interesting time for PC users. Even if you don't use a desktop, the effects of what's happening now is going to affect the entire computer industry, from PCs to Macs, even to next-gen game consoles. That's why every time I hear someone building a new PC right now, I just want to echo all those AMD fanboys saying, wait for Ryzen. Even if you're an Intel fan and would never consider building with AMD, it's still worth waiting just to see how this pans out.